Just build it is one of the worst startup advice that a founder who just got an idea can get. And I am saying this because I have seen a lot of founders who have followed this advice and they have gone on to spend over 6 months building their idea out, and a few of them have also spent over $20,000 on hiring a developer. And I can tell you that they have gotten nowhere so far. And the ones that have ignored this very advice are the ones that are in the market right now that are actually making a lot of money. In the next few minutes, I am going to show you exactly three things: where the just build it advice comes from, and why following this is completely wrong for founders who just got an idea, and more importantly, what you should do instead. By the end of this video, I hope you get a clear idea on why following the just build it advice will get you nowhere and that you really need to do something else. So, where exactly does this idea come from? It comes from the Silicon Valley, where successful founders raised a lot of capital to build out their idea and they could afford to fail fast. Mark Zuckerberg himself said, "Build fast and break things." And Reid Hoffman said, "If you're not embarrassed by the first version of your product, you have launched too late." Look, these successful founders come from a time where building was slow and expensive. So the real competitive advantage was speed. So this is exactly where this advice comes from, and that is why it makes sense. Because just build it is one of the most logical things that they could do. But let's be honest, the times have changed, and the competitive advantage is not speed anymore. It's how much better you can solve the same problem than your competitor. These successful founders who told you to just build it are also not telling you a lot of things. And by that, I mean Mark Zuckerberg built Facebook for his own campus. He was practically around his users and he was a user himself. And Reid Hoffman had already built PayPal, so he had deeply understood the marketplace way before he went on to build LinkedIn. What I'm trying to say is they already had insights, they had context, and they had the ability to recognize patterns. And more importantly, they had years of experience. When a first time founder hears the advice, just build it, what goes on in their head is to skip validation, skip research, skip talking to people, and jump straight into writing the first line of code. And I think that is where it all starts to go down because they get an idea, they get excited about it, and when they start talking to their friends about it, their friends also assure them that it's a good idea. So, what they think is that they should build it before anyone else does. And when they do that, they spend the next 3 months learning how to code, and the next 3 months after that, building out their idea. Or there are even people who just spend $20,000 from their bank account to hire a developer. And when they launch, nothing happens because the product they built does not solve the problem they thought it would, or nobody has that problem to begin with. Or there are 15 other competitors in the market that are doing the same thing so much better than they are. I have validated over 50 ideas, and I can tell you at least 60% of them needed to pivot. And when I say pivot, I don't just mean small changes. I mean major pivots where the core idea itself was wrong to begin with. And around 10% of the ideas just needed to be killed. By that I mean stopped immediately. So what I'm trying to say is that 70% of the ideas are going to fail. If they went ahead and followed the advice, just build it. I would recommend you validate before you build. But here's the thing. Most founders have confused validation. When I say validation, founders think it's about asking their friends how their idea is, or posting on Facebook groups and seeing how people react, or making Reddit posts, or even making a landing page. But there's an integral part that most founders miss out on, and it all happens before you do any of the things that I just mentioned before. And it all starts by just asking yourself three questions. These three questions will take you from just building blind to knowing before you build. Starting with the first one. Is this a real problem? When I say real problem, I don't just mean the people that are claiming they have a problem. I'm talking about the people that are actively trying to look for a solution to their problem. And more importantly, spending money to solve that problem. The second question you can ask yourself is your solution better? When I say better, I don't mean different because they're usually not the same. And if you can confidently put into words why a person must switch from their existing solution to your better solution, then you have a business. If not, you just have a hobby. And the third, according to me, one of the most important things that you can ask yourself is, can you reach these people? Imagine this, you build out your idea and it is a great solution to a real problem. But it does not mean that you launch and people come. Because in order for people to know that your solution exists, they need to be informed. And that is only going to happen if you can get in front of your target customers and inform them that your solution exists. When you're done answering all these three questions, I'm sure you can make an educated guess yourself. A failure to answer any of these three questions would result in a red flag. By that, I mean you would either have to pivot or kill. But please do not build. That's pretty much it. You just went from building blind to knowing before you build. If you were to build blind, you would have potentially wasted a lot of months and a lot of dollars building something that nobody wants. But now that you know before you build, you can either build with confidence or you don't waste any amount of money or time. Either way, both of them are wins in my book. Anyway, I made another video where you can see exactly how I use these three very questions to validate an idea in just 20 minutes. So if you're still doubtful about this process, this video is for you.